you all for being here. Thank you for getting here a little early and sharing where you're from, what your organization is with. I'm really excited to chat with you guys today. If you were listening carefully and you guessed that my intro music might have a purpose, you were right. Show of hands in the chat, throw up a hand or something like that. Anybody else see Top Gun Maverick recently? Anybody? I saw it in IMAX on Friday. Not yet, Clara. Ooh, girl, go see it. If you're a fan of the original, go see it. If you're not a fan of the original, go see it. It's really good. Tom Cruise, I think 59, still actually flying jets, really cool. Fun fact, all of the jet, like the airborne shots in this movie were actually shot in the air. None of this is on a green screen or with special effects at the request of Tom Cruise. So at any rate, I thought it was really good. Feeling the Top Gun vibe today. Feathr as a company, we love all things bird and flight related, right? We actually have service options that are called Dispatcher and Copilot. I'm actually going to vote that our next service offering will be Wingman. So, hey, if you want to work with Feathr in the future, maybe you'll get a Wingman service coming up. So in that Top Gun spirit, I've slightly rebranded today's presentation with an emphasis on how digital ads can fuel your next fundraiser. And I'm probably infringing on copyright right now with this logo, since we're all friends here, nobody tell on me, but I thought it would be a fun twist. So never saw the original, David. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, you weren't born, so you haven't watched it. Same, but I'd say watch them both. Definitely worth it. Kind of cheesy a little bit, but they're super fun to see. So, all right. So before we get started, guys, I'm gonna be that presenter that starts you off with a poll, because I'm gonna make you interact with me as we get going. So take a look at your screen right now, and I want to just get from a sense from you guys, how many of you are currently using some form of paid advertising in your digital strategy, right? Digital digital ads or paid advertising on social media. So check yes if you say yes. And as you guys fill that out, before we actually populate the answers, I want to know for the yeses, if you don't mind dropping just a quick note in the chat. If you are using paid ads, are you happy with the ROI, right? Like, what are your metrics for success? Is it clicks, views, impressions, increased web traffic? Like, how are you measuring success because you are actually paying into the strategy? And for the people who are not using paid advertising currently, I want to know why, right? Is it just hasn't been on top of mind, we're not interested in it? Or is it because you didn't have the budget for it? You didn't have people who could actually execute strategies? Just curious to get a gauge, right? Like Danielle says, they are using ads, are always good, but could be better, right? Always could be better, that's good. Never thought about it. Oh no, that's fair, right? Like this is kind of a new area for nonprofits for sure. Susan, feeling you, never budgeted for it. That's something, right? Leadership and board of directors are like, wait, we need another line item. That can always be an obstacle too. Budget, I'm seeing budget is a primary example. So let's go ahead and post the results of that panel, if you don't mind. My secret elves behind the screen helping me out here and see what people are saying. So it's looking like, well, it's pretty split, guys. Yeah, 60% of you are doing some form of paid advertising. That could be boosting posts, that could be actual paid advertising on websites. And then about 40% of you said no. So understand probably a lot of the no's that I'm seeing, like you said, small budget, bandwidth is an issue. Where do I start? We'll address all of that today. So thank you guys so much for participating and giving me some background. Just to give you guys some background, so like, right, who is this person and what is the company that is sourcing our information from? Want to introduce you to the flock, right? This is Feathr. This is actually who Feathr is. About 130 absolutely wonderful human beings who are so passionate about helping the world's best organizations do more good. That's y'all, right? Nonprofits. So if you're playing Where's Waldo and you can see my cursor here, that's me. I'm like at 5'5", probably should have stood in the front. Didn't think about that. Maybe I'll do that next time. But at any rate, this is Feathr. I wanted you to know the wonderful people behind the scenes who are making it work. Myself, my name's Kimberly Bottom, for those of you who don't know me. I'm an associate director of sales at Feathr. And outside of working for Feathr, I've got about 7 years working with nonprofits, from content strategy to video to creation to marketing. I've been working with nonprofits and their unique use cases and challenges and wonderful things as well for about 7 years. So I spend most of my days now at Feathr on calls all day, every day with different nonprofits, big, small, varying missions, really just hammering out the best way to get their message to the masses and then get those masses to actually take action, right? Like convert them into donors or volunteers or event attendees. So that's kind of a bit of background on me. And a bit of background who Feathr actually works with. We're working with about 1,200 nonprofits currently. And you can see kind of the swath of logo on your screens. It's a range, right? All the way from very large national, organizations all the way down to, Humane Society of North Central Florida, which is a Gainesville-based humane society. So really what all of these different nonprofits use us for are these top use cases that you see on the left side of your screen, right? Increasing awareness overall, boosting online donations, promoting your events, getting people to attend your galas, your fundraisers, etc., recruiting volunteers, reaching new donors is a big one, right? How do we get in front of people who have never heard of us outside of just boots on the ground? Like what's the digital equivalent of that? And then engaging your existing donors. How many of you guys think in your head, like, I've got this huge donor list. Gosh, if I could just convert those guys, we'd be in a good spot, right? So this is a lot of what Feathr does with 1,200 nonprofits currently. And the session that I'm about to present to you and all of the ideas and the stats therein are coming straight from our services team, right? This is like a handful of them that you see on your screen here. Again, wonderfully talented humans that do nothing all day, every day, but run nonprofit digital marketing campaigns. So that's kind of where we're sourcing our information, the wins that we've seen from our clients, some of the pitfalls that we're going to help you not fall into. So that's kind of where it's all coming from today. So really quickly, before we talk strategy, let's address why it is important to do paid advertising in the first place, right? This is something you guys can share with your leadership, your board, who say right now that they don't have the budget or the time for it. This is why it's important, because traditionally, digital marketing outside of paid advertising has looked like these three things, right? Anybody here still doing direct mail? Not to say that that is wrong, right? Sometimes, like as a donor, to get a personalized letter from the CEO, that means something to me. So that's something that you can use, but for marketing, it's a tough strategy, right? It's expensive, costs a lot to print it. It is pretty untrackable. You can use QR codes, you can use mail-in donations as like a way to track conversions, right? But the hard part is the people who don't return a donation or don't scan that QR code will never know. Did they see it? Did they throw it away? So while, again, this is not a strategy you should do away with completely, maybe it's worth scaling it back a bit to do your formal marketing on the digital side where it is more trackable, right? Yep, still doing direct mail and yep, best ROI, right? You're getting those checks back in the mail from the people that you send it to. It's just, we wish we could see the people who are not sending the checks back. What did they do? Like, right? Did it make it to them? Did it not make it to them? Is it in their garbage? Is it sitting on their counter and they just need a nudge, a reminder? So a lot of that is, don't stop doing the things that work, but maybe start to introduce other things that give you a bigger picture of what you're actually getting out of your money. So the next thing, obviously, social media and email. These are the ones that we use a lot, right? Social media is your organic voice to your community. But as an organic platform, you do have a limited reach. I don't know if you guys were aware of the official statistics, but Facebook, Instagram, their algorithms prioritize friends and family, right? Actual human beings. They don't prioritize pages or organizations. So on average, about 10% of your online audience on Facebook and Instagram are actually seeing your posts. You have 3,000 followers, for example, about 300 of them will actually see a post that you post. Even if it gets good likes, views, and clicks and those kinds of things, there's still just a limited reach outside of actually paying for a strategy on social media. And email, again, not telling you to stop doing these things. We still need to send emails. But how many of you used to get 10 to 20 emails every morning pre-COVID? And now I'm getting 80, 100. I mean, there's no human on earth that can process that much information in email. So it's just a very saturated channel. That's why our open rates, a good open rate is 20%, right? So 20% is not bad, but that means 80% of the people are not actually seeing the message. So again, not saying that these are wrong things to do, but this is why a paid strategy is going to increase your bandwidth, or not your bandwidth, but your reach across the internet, because you're paying to get in front of more people. So that's where tip number one is coming in. If you have not started advertising, start advertising. There you go. So people, the 60% who are already doing this, hey, look, you're ahead of the game. Step one, you're done, right? For those of you who haven't, this is kind of why we need to start. On average, adults are spending 8 hours online a day. That's a lot, right? I know it's kind of awakening when you realize that. And you really have to reach them where they are. And where they are is all over the place. They're shopping, they're checking the news, they're checking the weather. So before we actually get to a strategy where we're paying the internet to reach these people, I'm going to help you guys make sure that your website is ready to host those people, right? So tip number 2. Audit your online giving experience. So if you're looking to raise funds, right, this is all about using ads to do fundraising. You have to make sure that the actual donation process is ready to host your guests. So here's what we want to consider as we do. Andrew, Tim, please tell our board that, hey, if we could all just go to bat for each other, this would be an easier process, right? So here we go. Is your website ready for ads? These are the things to consider. Is your online donor experience smooth and intuitive, right? Are the buttons easy to find? Are the load times fast? Because there's nothing worse than clicking something and then it takes forever to load and man, I've moved on, right? Like I'm going to the next thing. So make sure that these things first and foremost are taken care of. Biggest thing that we're seeing is your website and your donation process mobile friendly. So even our clients, Feathr clients whose web traffic is higher on a desktop, we are seeing higher and higher percentages of actual donations from mobile devices. I might do my research during the day on you on my desktop, but later on at night, I'm scrolling my phone and now I have time to process that information and donate. You need to make sure that this is friendly for the people on their devices. Can a first-time donor easily give? And not only people, can they navigate your website, but is what they're donating for utterly apparent, right? Like, do they know the impact? Like, can I read 2 to 3 sentences and get a gauge of what I'm actually giving money for? So you need to make sure that the process is simple, not only the actual buttons and functions, but why should I donate should be a simple process as well. And the next thing, does the copy on your website sound like a human being? And is it aligned with your brand, right? That's kind of a funny way to put it, but answer this question. What would you say to somebody if you sat down across a table from them and were trying to connect with them person on person about your mission? That is how you should design your copy on your website, right? You want a personal connection. You want to look you in the eye and tell me why I should care mentality. So make it simple, make it align with your brand, and don't make it too complicated for those people. And yes, Julie, thank you for the reminder. If you do have a formal question, please use the Q&A because this chat is coming in super fast and I can't kind of see them as they go up. So formal Q&A if you guys want me to answer any questions. All right. Oh, look at that, Francis. All right, Francis, I have a little spot in just a moment to answer some questions. So I'll get to that in just 1 minute. So, all right, after making sure your website is mobile friendly, you want your donors to know who you are, what you do, right? But first, you kind of need to know who they are. And that is tip number 3 for you guys. So know your donor profile. All this means is understand who you are trying to reach. So who are these people that we're trying to reach? Get specific, as in more than just somebody's age range and gender. Like if you're looking for me, right? I'm, a female in her mid-30s. So that's just not enough, right? You want to know a little bit more about who they are. What do they do? Where do they live? Where do they shop? Where do they eat? We call this indirect targeting, right? So are they part of a golf club, right? Wealth indicators are a good parameter for whether or not they could be donors. People who volunteer at other places could have a philanthropic mindset. Therefore, they want to, volunteer or donate at several organizations. And these options are actually less expensive than direct targeting, right? So if you're thinking of what somebody does, for example, instead of just saying, I want somebody with an income over 6 figures, you could say, I want people who travel and they're part of Delta Sky Club. That's a great way to narrow in on a particular amount of wealth without actually just putting an income cap on it. It's actually going to cost you a little bit less to find that segment of people than it is like the massive, swath of people that would be under an income cap. So that's a good way to do it. Where do they shop, right? Do they shop luxury brands? That would be a good indicator of having disposable income as well. Where do they eat and shop? So for example, if you are focused on animal rights, maybe target vegan restaurants because those people clearly have an interest in protecting animals. So there are just a few things. If you sit down and really think about who would a good prospect for me be, you can target some places online and in real life where those people would be. So I kind of got ahead of myself, but there we go. Indirect targeting, that's what we're talking about. A/B testing personas is so important with advertising in order to make sure you're not spending money where it is not working for you. So for A/B testing, what you want to do is come up with a few personas, right, for potential supporters of your mission. And once you have those laid out, send a little bit of ads to those people and see which works best, right? If you're getting super high click-through rates on one particular persona versus the other, then spend your money there, right? That's where it's going to work. So this is what that looks like through Feathr. Actually, there's several platforms that can do this, that offer you third-party data to target people, but this is Feathr's platform specifically. So this is an example from Grace Marketplace, right? Feathr uses the trade desk to access its third-party data, which is why we have so much of it. And Grace Marketplace was looking like they started at the very top. They wanted to do an income level kind of bucket for finding people, right? So a few examples of persona for them are based on income level. Professional with a higher income would be this, but on the flip side, another segment that they focused on were students at the University of Florida, which is right in that hometown. Why? Those people don't have a ton of disposable income, but that younger generation cares a lot about the health and wellness of their immediate community. So those are also potential donors and volunteers. They might not be like a huge corporate or like a very, very large donor, but they could be someone you could nurture for years to come, right? Here is another example. You could do, for example, someone who is retired. If you're looking for people who want to volunteer their time and have more time to do it, that would be a great method to do it. And then you can also do things like targeting people based on, executives or other job levels. This could be great for corporate sponsors, right? If you're looking to talk to a CEO at a company to be a corporate sponsor, then you would want to use this filter to find those people. So once these personas are kind of laid out, right, you flesh them out a bit, then you can specify a certain physical location where these people are located. So through Feathr, we call that a geofilter, and you just plop it on top of that third-party data. Like, I want CEOs within this income level in Gainesville, Florida. So obviously for Grace Marketplace, Gainesville is the place they wanted to focus on. But for you guys, you can set your net as wide as you want it to be. So you could literally geofilter the entire US if you're a national organization, all the way down to a state, community, even like a city block or a building if you wanted to. So if you guys are looking to generate like mass awareness and you need a bigger net, to be candid, you do need a bigger budget to reach those people because there's more people to serve ads to. If you're looking to find and nurture a more specific group of people, right, then you focus on that smaller net to begin with, and then you keep your budget a little bit lower, right? You're not spending as much. So you can always expand the net outwards once you have more experience, more results from A/B testing. I would always say start as small as you can and then start to incrementally inch out as you get more ROI, right? You get more donations that can fuel that additional outreach. Alrighty, so on the topic of geographical targeting, if that is of interest to you, consider geographical targeting or geofencing as its own strategy, right? So here we go. Geofence adds to the places where your donors live, work, and play. So this is focusing on geographical location only. This is saying anybody, any human being with a device in this area is somebody I want to talk to regardless of age, gender, income level, what they do for a living. And this is a good way to just drive net new awareness to people based on their location. So this is what geofencing looks like within the Feathr platform. And you can see for Grace Marketplace, which was that homeless shelter in Gainesville, they wanted to focus on high income neighborhoods. So these little circles that you see, these are the 3 high income neighborhoods that they basically just said, I want people who live in these homes to start seeing my messages on their devices. So if you lived in that area, it would look like this for you. I'm on my phone, I'm playing a game, and whoop, there it is, Grace Marketplace. Super simple message, end homelessness in Gainesville, donate now, clear call to action with some nice branding attached to it. So this is like, heck, geofencing 101. Good job, Grace Marketplace. This is a great way to start. So here are some other geofencing ideas to consider, and then I'll pop into the questions and answer some of those. But geofencing ideas besides just high income neighborhoods would be things like country clubs, yacht clubs, people who have a little bit extra money like clubs for some reason, but golf courses, etc. Expensive neighborhoods we covered. Churches and places of worship, either if you are a faith-based organization or if you just think that your mission would resonate with people of faith, then that's a great place to start as well. festivals, concerts, sporting events. Like if I've got, for example, Electric Daisy Carnival, which is an EDM festival here in Orlando, and I wanted to reach the younger generation, I geofence that. Versus, hey, I've got a Motley Crue concert coming up next weekend that I want to geofence maybe a slightly older demographic. So pick your places based on who you want to reach. And university campuses, just like Grace Marketplace did, was a great place as well. And then other nonprofit fundraisers are also a great place to look for people who are already in a philanthropic mindset. So I am putting out the caveat that you don't want to crash the party. If you don't want to crash the party of someone else's event or fundraiser, that's fair, right? We can geofence that event, make a note of everybody who was in attendance, and not actually serve them ads until the event is over, if that is something that you guys are interested in doing. So it's a good way to make a note of those people without sending them ads during the actual event. All right, sweet. I'm going to take a quick look at the chat, quick look at the questions. If you have a formal question, please make sure it made it in there. And let's see if Julie has answered some of these too. So should a donate page be a clean landing page with a strong call to action? Tim, ding, 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 ding. Very nice. Don't make it complicated, right? And if you're serving an ad that asks them to donate, the landing page should match the ad, because that human brain connection goes, hey, I clicked this, it looks the same, I'm in the right place. So definitely making sure that those two things talk to each other. But yes, clean landing page, what is the impact of my donation? Donate now and you're good. And then Tim also said, can you drill to propensity to give independent of income? Forgive me, Tim, I'm struggling to process that question just a little bit. If you want to rephrase it and drop it in there, I'm going to skip ahead, but let me know if there's a clarification you can provide on that one. But Jim says, you mentioned the obvious folks for digital ads, Facebook, Google, etc. Please speak to Reddit ads, then Twitch ads, then Pinterest. It looks like Julie is also typing that answer. So Jim, for that is a super hyper specific question. I would actually say let's connect offline about that one, because most of the ads we're talking about here, like you said, are served on Facebook, Instagram, social media, and also the World Wide Web. So weather.com, NewYorkTimes.com, all the way down to your grandmother's food blog, right? Specifically for Reddit, Twitch, and Pinterest, I don't want to give you misinformation. So let's connect offline about that. I will have my email address in here so we can connect. I think that's it for the formal questions. So guys, keep them coming, and we'll pop back in there and we'll do some at the end as well. So here we go. Ready? Moving on. Tip number 5, retarget your website visitors, right? This is probably the most important thing that you can do, because the people who are on your website are not there by accident. So they've shown interest in your organization. 90% of the people do not convert the first time they visit your site. So we need to nurture that interest. And this is what that looks like. You ever Googled something, didn't buy the something follows you around the internet. That's retargeting. And retargeting for nonprofits looks like this. I go to International Justice Mission's website, I click the donate button, but I do not donate. Now I'm getting served ads specifically about donating all over my devices, all over the internet. So this is what we want to help you guys do for retargeting your website visitors. So retargeting for, in a nutshell, is following the supporters and prospective donors around the internet. If they make it to your website, even if they don't give you information, right? They don't fill out a form with a tracking pixel that, for example, Feathr has a tracking pixel, Google has a tracking pixel. You can place these pixels on your website and it tracks behavioral activity. So even though you don't know that Kimberly Bottom is sitting behind the screen, you know that this device was on my website. So this allows us to follow those unanimous people around the internet. And then this helps keep your organization top of mind, right? It's just that little nudge that joins the conversation as I continue to kind of make my way and live my day online. And this is really powerful for re-engaging recent website visitors. It's just a great reminder. Like, you are competing with 1,001 other things that these people are doing every day. This is a gentle nudge because they did show interest. So because they showed interest, we want to remind them. So here's one more example from another Feathr client, the International Justice Mission, right? You can see right here, change a life this holiday season, give a gift. And then the one way actually that Feathr helps our clients specifically to cut to the front of the line in terms of serving these ads, we have 6 different sizes that Feathr has found have the most added inventory across the web. Means that your ads are more likely to be placed in these sizes. So that's built into our software. So some of those like best practices bring real results that, you know, working with a nonprofit specific tool is really great for. So IJM's end of year giving initiative through Feathr with ads like these was really successful. This is just like a quick look at it. Down at the bottom, you can see there that it's the full case study is listed on the Feathr website under the resources tab, or you can just email me if you want to. But they spent $7,000. They made over $100,000 in donations, which was a huge return on their ad spend. So that's just a quick peek at one of our Feathr clients. I realize it's 1:27, so I'm gonna bust through the rest of these and hope to have a little bit of time for questions at the end. Thank you for bearing with me, guys. All right, the number one thing you should be doing, outside of, you know, the actual retargeting is donation form abandoners, right? Remember the shoes? You put the shoes in the in the basket. Now you really see the shoes everywhere because you're a hot lead. You're so intent on buying the shoes that you put them in your cart. This is the same thing. Somebody who goes to the Sea Turtle Conservancy's website, they fill out part of a donation form and they don't finish it for whatever reason, we should be sending that person an ad that looks like this. Forget something, look at the sea turtle. He's waiting for you, right? Like this is the goal, is to get those hot leads, the people who have shown clear intent, just to serve them a reminder, right? This is strategy 101. So outside of nurturing your recent web visitors, you can actually use your email lists to nurture your current audience. And let me explain how that works. So using your email lists means you probably have segments built in, right? Current donors, lapsed donors, event attendees. If you haven't already segmented your email lists, that's definitely step number one in terms of putting these people into buckets based on how they've interacted with you. Because somebody who attended an event 2 years ago might need a refresher on what you do versus someone who donated 6 months ago and they just need a reminder to re-up their donation. So setting up the segments are going to improve your conversion rates because you're actually serving the messages that resonate with them. So here's some advice on segmenting your email lists first. Things like newsletter subscribers, past event attendees, existing donors in the past 12 months, former volunteers. This is what one of our clients, the Humane Society of North Central Florida, did. And from there, your next step is to reach your email audience outside of their inbox. Because if you sent them the email and they didn't see it, then there's a chance they just don't read emails. So we can email map is what it's called within Feathr. Facebook, LinkedIn, and Feathr all have things that are called email mapping campaigns. This is where we pair devices with the actual email. That means you can serve them ads outside of their inbox to re-engage them that way, right? So this is great for unsubscribers. They're not sending too many emails, and it's a complement to your email strategy. So this is kind of what one of those ads would look like. And email mapping was a key strategy for the Humane Society of North Central Florida for an initiative called Amazing Give that you see here on the screen. And this, again, just a quick stat. Again, this full case study is listed on our website, or just send me an email. But they only spent $300. They just wanted to reach the people who were on their website and the people who they had in their email lists with ads. $300 spent, 119 donations came in a single day, and they raised almost $6,000. So this was a wild success for them as well. Another success story in this category was the Pediatric Cancer Research Foundation, who used a mix of actually sending emails to people plus email mapping to serve them ads to reach their donors. So this is an example of the email that they sent, where they featured one of their survivors, right? Her name was Mia, and they told her story, what the impact for a donation would do for a girl like Mia. And then for people who opened the email, or maybe they didn't open the email, they also started to see these ads around the internet. So this is just a good comprehensive strategy to keep that message top of mind, right? I see there are some more questions, but we'll hit those in a minute. We've just got a couple more tips and then we're almost done. So here we go, guys. Tip number 8, apply for the Google Ad Grant and try paid search. So if you haven't heard of the Google Ad Grant, it is essentially free marketing money from Google for nonprofits. You do have to qualify, so you have to apply. I believe you must be a 501c3 organization in order to do this, but this is what it looks like, right? Like if you are a environmental conservation nonprofit, if somebody types something into a search bar that would make them a good fit for you, you can use Google's free money to populate something that looks like this, which is you come to the top of the list, you get a little green check like this, and it says ad by it, but you make it to the top of the list. Here's what you need to know about Google Ad Grants. You can get up to $10,000 a month in free advertising. And while that sounds amazing, which it is, you do need to actually have a high search volume to spend that $10,000. Something like climate change would be a good fit. If you're a super niche organization, you're going to struggle to spend the $10,000 total. So you do need to have landing pages that connect with these ads, not just your homepage. So there's a little bit more work on that end. And you do actually need to maintain an average click-through rate of 5% after 5 months, or the money will stop. So all that to just say that Google Ads grant is great, but you do need some version or some bandwidth, right, to actually make this work for you. Someone to own this and actually like log in and figure out these campaigns and make sure that they're working for you. If you do have the bandwidth, they do work, right? This is a case study for one of them. This was an organization called Days for Girls, spent $5,000 in grant money, got over 400 donations, about $5,000 in 60 days. So it works if you work it. All right, tip number 9, going back to that stat earlier in the session where 90% of the people who visit your website don't donate the first time around. It's because you actually need to create a journey for them. So if we can create an automated journey, then it's easy for you and it's good for your potential donors. So this is sending the right message to people at the right time. So identify the key phases of your donor journey. Are they a new donor? Do they need more background on who you are? Are they a previous event attendee and they don't need as much background? Are they a one-time donor who you want to nurture into becoming a recurring donor? Think of these things before you design the messages that you want to spend to them, and then tailor that ad copy to whatever stage of the funnel that they're in, right? So nurturing donors with things like impact reports, testimonials, success stories, use the content that you have that's relevant to where that person is in their journey to get them to that next step. And instead of doing like sporadic content on organic channels, which the algorithm, again, might leave out content out of people's feeds, a programmatic advertising approach where you are paying into that platform will automatically serve the right ad to the right person at the right time. So that's why paying for it, obviously gets you a little more exposure, because that's the goal there. So at Feathr, because everything we do, again, is bird related, we call that automatic journey a flight. This is what a flight looks like through Feathr. This was the Pediatric Cancer Research Foundation flight for end of year donation. So you can see they used a mix of different campaigns like search keyword and geofencing, like we discussed, to find people. Once those people showed an interest, we nurtured them through things like retargeting and Facebook email mapping. And then at the bottom, hey, people who are showing us clear intent, they're filling out part of the form, they're visiting our website a lot. That's when we start to serve them slightly more ads with a very specific message, urgent messaging, call to action, donate today. Here's why you should donate today. So this is just an example of what those ads looked like. So informing people that need a little bit more information, right? Help ensure that these 800 kids have a tomorrow. This is giving you a little bit more background. Somebody who might know more about you already, make a gift today in honor of Mia. This is, you've already maybe read Mia's story and just haven't taken that next step. This would be a good ad for that. Finally, call to action. Hey, you started to fill out a donation form. I don't know what, got you off track, but finish it today, because this is going to make a difference for kids. So this is just an example of what those ads could look like. And finally, we are 5 minutes over, but step number 10, right? Tell your story. Just serving ads with your logo and a donation button is not going to do it. You have to give people a little bit more background. So every advertising strategy needs a content strategy. Keeping the scent of your message just means that the landing page, the ad, everything kind of like connects to each other. You don't want to take them to a homepage, because then they're going to drop off. They're going to feel lost. So make sure that everything connects in a good user journey for them. Greet users with the landing pages, exactly, relevant to their stage in the donor journey, right? If they need more background, a little more background. If they just need to donate, make it super simple. Moving on from there, creating evergreen pieces to promote each funnel of the stage. If you've got a great impact case or a great study that you've got, you can use that over and over again, because you're only using it for that particular part of the funnel. It's not like everybody's going to continue to see this study and they're going to be like, oh, I read the study, leave me alone with the study. You're serving it to people where it makes sense for them in that stage of the funnel, right? And then the other big thing, does anybody else get irritated by consumer marketing where you buy that pair of shoes that's been following you around and then you still see the shoes? They're still everywhere. You're like, gosh, leave me alone. I did what you asked. With an effective marketing funnel, which is what Feathr does, we stop that from happening. We remove people from the part of the funnel that no longer applies to them, so they're not seeing messages that are no longer relevant for them. So there you have it, 10 tips for using ads for your fundraising. Let me see if there are any questions left. All right, Tim is clarifying his earlier question. Propensity to give is a lifestyle characteristic that is not connected to income. Correct. Yes, we do have, at least through Feathr, I can speak to Feathr, through our third-party data. For example, Pediatric Cancer Research Foundation had found a segment that was children's interests intent to give was an actual third-party data set. So that is something that you can focus in on for sure. Can we get a copy of the presentation, please? Absolutely. I will find out if it is not automatically sent with the follow-up email after this is over. Again, my email address is kimberlybottom@feathr.co, kimberly.bottom@feathr.co, Feathr without an E. And you guys, I'm happy to send it to you directly for sure, just to give you some background there. And let's see if there is anything else in the chat. I want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. I don't think I missed any other questions. Thank you, Francis. And just a note before you guys leave, thank you for hanging with me for another 7 minutes over time. This is a good next step. If you guys are considering or are already doing paid advertising, we're hosting a webinar on how to design ads. So like, what should my ads look like? What should they say? We're going to use some examples from current Feathr customers that have actually driven donations and volunteer signups and those kinds of things as examples to give you guys some background. So that's Tuesday, June 8th at 1 p.m. Please tune in for that. It's going to be a really cool session, a very creative session for that as well. So again, thank you guys. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Shannon, Corinne, Tim, everybody, you guys, Lindsay. You've been awesome. Thank you for being here. Again, kimberly.bottom@feathr.co if you want to shoot me an email, copy of the presentation, whatever else I can help you with. I'd love to just connect with you guys. Connect with me on LinkedIn too under Kimberly Bottom. Heck, if you're in Florida, let's go grab a coffee. Anybody in Florida? Anybody? No? That'd be great. So yeah, thank you guys so much. We will see you soon and have a wonderful week. Thanks, guys. Clara, all right, we're going to go grab coffee. Cool.